cloud.
Recording in 3, 2, 1. For professional and truly dedicated service, please contact the top producing agent in New Orleans, Chris Smith of Gardner Realtors at 504-231-2004. That number again is 504-231-2004. 3, 2, 1. What's up and welcome back to Propels Talk. It is the home of your undefeated best record in the mother NBA, the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm joined with Ross Tivno, but before we get into it, we'd like to shout out that this episode is presented by Company Burger, by far the best burger on earth, and it's not even really close. Ross, how we doing?
I mean, can you be more excited after a performance like that? I mean, that was, I think everything we sort of hoped that the Stan Van Gundy era would be, right? I mean, that it was just it's a really, really great start to the season. I think we saw all of the things that we kind of wanted to see. We got a really good look at the player, some of the players we were curious about in spots that I think were different and interesting. And I mean, and BI is just different.
I told you. I tried telling you last year, folks. You can. I told you. I told you this motherfucker would be a problem. He's an absolute problem. Once he gets going, Ross, and I think you see it. Once you see him get into a rhythm, he becomes one of those players like a Steph Curry, a KD, a LeBron, a Donovan Mitchell, a James Harden. You can't do anything to stop him. He gets to the junction, he goes baseline, he drives, finishes at the rim. He's then an 85% free throw shooter. And then if he's to start knocking down threes, especially in Pascal Siakam's face, like there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, and he eats smaller defenders now. I mean, you kind of saw. You saw it last year, obviously, but today I felt like, any time that Van Vliet or Lowry got switched on to him, even OG at the end of the game, when probably about 4.5 minutes left, they got into a one-on-one spot. He just got to the elbow and just pulls up right over him. He's so long, and he can get that two hard dribbles pull up on anybody, anytime, anywhere.
Man, and you know what? What's sad, and I feel like when Kobe retired, that kind of like mid-range two dribble pull up from the junction kind of went away, and I think Brandon Ingram is bringing it back. You don't really see too many guards, one or two dribble pull ups anymore, and Brandon Ingram does it at such an efficient rate. Let's dive into the game. Pelicans got off to a slow start. I know you want to talk a little bit about the first quarter. They had maybe 7 or 8 different turnovers. They were 2 of 8 from the free throw line. Very sloppy play. What were your first initial thoughts there in the first quarter?
Yeah, a couple things come to mind. So, and I think we tweeted about this a little bit. Defensive intensity was there, okay, and that's half the battle. I thought one thing, and if you go back, I think we were definitely bottom 10 last year in offensive rebounding.
Yes,
it wasn't like an all out, like what you see in college sometimes, where it's just like an assault on the offensive glass.
Yeah,
but you saw a lot of very strategic, 3 guys getting back and 1 guy and the shooter really crashing the glass. And we were getting a ton of tip outs, a ton of offensive rebounds. That stuff is just deflating.
Yes,
with the other team. That was super encouraging. Look, we missed some free throws, whatever. Mm-hmm. Bledsoe and Lonzo each had a couple bad turnovers. But you can forgive that stuff if the effort is there, right? If it's sloppy turnovers, then it's like, okay, let's lock back in. They weren't what I would call sloppy turnovers necessarily. They were Bledsoe's for sure were just not. I think he was expecting Jackson Hayes to be able to get up a little higher or quicker. I almost blame those as much on Jackson Hayes as I do on Bledsoe. So all in all, first quarter was what it was. The quarter I want to kick over to you and focus on, because it was a quarter that just was embarrassing last year, third quarter.
Yeah, and that's something that Stan Van Gundy has changed. Now, I think you started seeing there in the second quarter, Toronto getting into a nice rhythm. I think they got a lead up to 11 or 12 points. And defensively, it was there. It's just they were making shots, and I didn't think we were taking very efficient shots. I think Brandon Ingram finished the second quarter with 5 or 6 different 5 or 6 field goal attempts. I know Zion was in foul trouble. Same with Lonzo. It was a very, like say, slow start, and that's going to happen. But let's talk about the third quarter. I think Toronto actually gets out to like an 8-3 run there. And Stan Van Gundy, I'm glad you brought this up. SVG calls a timeout, and right off the bat, Pelicans going an 8-0, or sorry, 7-0 run. BI hits a 3, Lonzo hits a corner long 2, Zion ends it with the dunk. But before all that, like that's great. You see, BI finally get into a rhythm, Lonzo knocking down shots. They got 3 defensive stops in a row, 3 one and dones. You go down, you go on a 7-0 run, timeout. That now starts continuing. Now you're like, okay, we can stop these guys as long as we clear the glass. And that's one thing I tweeted about there in the second half. This team, yeah, like how many times last year or 2 years ago would you see this team have 15, 16 turnovers, shoot 25% from 3-point land, shoot 30% from the free throw line, be down 25? They were only down 7. And that is the difference between last year and this year. It's because there is a defensive effort. There's the Stan Van Gundy is demanding that you play defense because you can have bad shooting nights. And Ross, there's a saying that Mike McGuire loves to say is that, offensively, you're going to have bad nights, but defense travels no matter what. Every single night, that championship teams can rely on their defense. And that's exactly what the New Orleans Pelicans did tonight.
And let me tell you who plays defense. Steven Adams. There was a play and this is the most stereotypical Steven Adams night. This is if you're a Pelicans fan and you're thinking Steven Adams is going to be a guy who comes and gets you 10, 12 points and 20 rebounds, it's not going to happen. That is not his effect on the game. But there was a play, probably 4.5 minutes left. BI comes down. We're into the shot clock. We miss the shot. Siakam tries to get out on a break. JJ does a great job of doing enough to slow him down around midcourt. These are the type of plays last year you don't think about because Siakam gets the rebound, he pushes it, he gets a dunk, bang. Next thing, now they're down 8. They call a time. We have to call a timeout. These things can snowball over a minute or two. Instead, what happens here is JJ hustles to kind of cut him off about half, close to the midcourt. Steven Adams then ends up on him on the wing. Siakam tries to take him to the glass. He pins the shit against the backboard, and we go the other direction. Game over. And he's a guy that just makes a difference. He's a smart defensive player. He's in the right spots. He affects the game without showing up necessarily in the stat sheet.
And that's something that I love about this podcast, Ross, is like, me and you can go out and blabber about the box score and we can read off the box, but we see more in depth, and that's what Steven Adams brings. There's another play I wanted to talk about. I think it might have been maybe midway through the fourth. Lonzo drove baseline, got caught up in the air, and just completely threw it. It was a bad turnover. But instead of Lonzo jogging back, that dude hauled ass down to the other end. The Pelicans force a long attempted 3. I think Toronto might have had a 4-on-3 or maybe even a 4-on-2. The Pelicans do a great job defensively, getting back in transition, forcing a long shot, get the rebound. JJ Redick goes down, gets fouled baseline out of bounds. We call a timeout, call a set. Leads to a field goal, and then that was basically the game right then and there. I thought I thought that was the company burger patty melt play of the game right there. Lonzo Ball hauling ass defensively, getting back, recovering, and forcing a tough shot. I want to continue on Lonzo Ball because I think you're starting to see a mature Lonzo Ball, and here's why. I think last year when Lonzo would have gone 1 of 4, 1 of 5 from deep in the first half, it was kind of like let's shut it down. No confidence. This time comes out of the second half, had not a great first half. He didn't have a good first half. Foul trouble, turnovers, this and that. But he knocks down his first 3. Great in rhythm. I think then the third or fourth possession, you see him pushing it, top of the key, in rhythm, bam, another 3. You see him making the extra pass, attacking, got to the free throw line, Ross, 6 times tonight. I drove out a stat a couple of days ago. Lonzo got to the free throw line 3 or more times, 12 times last year. Got 6 free throw attempts tonight.
He was and he was the catalyst. I talked about Steven Adams. He was a catalyst defensively. He had a couple of huge blocks on Van Vliet as he tried to get in the paint. Yeah. And Van Vliet is a tough little guy. He gets in there, uses his body. And I thought Lonzo was super energetic. Like I said, he knocked down that first shot of the game, and I thought, this is really going to be important for him. And what happened was he sort of struggled offensively the rest of the first half. And for him to, I think, bounce back and play the way he did in the second half shows, it's a confidence, it's maturity, but it's also a guy that's not afraid. In the bubble last year, make no mistake, he was afraid to shoot the ball. He started missing shots, and that went straight to his head. I think he missed a couple shots in the first half and came back out and said, you know what? I'm confident. I'm going to keep shooting these open looks, and bang.
And I also think that goes towards Stan Van Gundy as well. From day one, he's like, Lonzo, I have full confidence in you. You need to have confidence in yourself. And I think Stan Van Gundy's done a great job, along with Vincent, of working with his shot every day. Me and you hear this every day. He's one of the hardest workers on the team. It's starting to really show out, especially in a contract year. I said keys to the game, Ross. I said yesterday with Dean and on our podcast that we had to win our backcourt battle between Bledsoe Ball and Van Fleet and Kyle Lowry. Van Fleet held to 9 points, 2 of 8 from deep. Kyle Lowry, 18 points, 4 of 9 from deep, 7 of 15 from the field. Eric Bledsoe goes 18 points, 6 assists. And then Lonzo, 16 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds. I thought he was great in the second half. He had a really bad first half. Great job second half. They win the backcourt battle. They win the game. Zion didn't have that great of a game.
No, he didn't. And you could tell, look, I think this was a great example of what Van Gundy talked about. We know Zion is not at the point where he is probably ready to give us 35 aggressive, strong minutes a night, but there's only one way to get him there. And that's to put his ass out there for 30 plus minutes and work his way into shape. And I thought he did that. There were times where Zion was clearly a little fatigued. Yes. And you got to learn how to play through that. You got to learn how to tough it out and pick your spots, catch your breath for a second and keep going. Yeah. I didn't think he had his best game, but look, one of the things I was concerned about, and I told you this, was our bench a little bit. Holy hell, JJ Redick was on a
problem. He's a problem.
I mean, just an unbelievable shooter. Problem. He hit some.
Are you laughing at me because I'm saying
no? He just had. I mean, he hit a couple of huge shots.
He was amazing.
Huge shots. He was unbelievable. I think Bi obviously player of the game with the near triple double. I was hoping he'd get another rebound there at the end, but a close second is JJ Redick. He was absolute lights out for us tonight.
He was amazing. A couple bad things. A lot of positives. When you win, you want to be positive. I don't care. This franchise isn't really used to winning. They're 1-0 on the year. I'm going to celebrate, but I mean, Ross, you can't have 27 turnovers. No. Listen, 2 preseason games. You can't have 27 turnovers. You can't go 50% from the free throw line. But I will say this: they out rebounded the Raptors 45-35. So that was the key to the game. They win that by 10. They get to the line 8 more times. Unfortunately, they go 10 of 20, which isn't great. But then also what happens is when you get stops, you hold a team to 30% from the 3-point line, like the Toronto Raptors shot tonight. You go 19 of 42 from the 3-point line, 45% clip, and that's why you get a double-digit win.
Yep.
This defense wins games, and that is exactly the difference from last year to this year. One more thing I did want to talk about, Ross, and I hate to talk about it. I just don't think Jackson Hayes is ready. I'm a little worried about him. Once again, he's always in foul trouble. I mean, he played, he only gets 6 minutes tonight, and I just feel like he has just like really bad fouls, turnovers, things like that. Also doesn't do a great job, defending the glass. So I felt like Van Gundy had a really short leash with
he put him in. And I mentioned this earlier that I almost blame him as much for a couple of those Bledsoe turnovers. They get attributed to Bledsoe, but the only word I can use is that Jackson Hayes was kind of out there just exercising today. There wasn't really a lot of productivity, kind of just running around lost, and I think that's why he only got 6 minutes. And we talked about this in our preview. I think he's a guy that's gonna struggle a little bit this year because I don't think there's gonna be a ton of minutes. He's gonna have a short leash. He's gonna have to make a big impact in very few minutes, and we'll see. Look, it's easier to learn from wins than it is from losses, right? Especially as a fan, but as a coach too, it's a lot easier to go in there and be positive and be excited about a win and correct a few things. So props to the Pels. I thought they played incredibly hard tonight, and looking forward to Christmas Day, baby.
I know,
looking forward to Christmas Day.
Last couple things I want to point out: Stan Van Gundy's adjustments at halftime. I thought they got into a better flow offensively. Did a nice job, and he got Brandon more shots. I thought that was a big big deal there. You got to have that. And secondly, I want to hear before we get off. I think we need to talk a little bit about Eric Bledsoe. I mean, he's just an absolute bulldog. Everyone says what we're losing in Drew and this and that. I'm telling you right now, Eric Bledsoe is Drew Holiday, but a little bit shorter and a little bit stockier. He's a pest defensively. He plays his ass off. He's so smart defensively too, always in the right spot. And then if he's gonna go 4 of 8 from deep, I mean, hello.
Exactly what we said. If I mean, the exact words I used were, if he shoots the ball just a hair better than he has in the past, then we're all going to be, nobody's going to be sitting here missing Drew Holiday on the court. And you saw that tonight. Look, 50% from deep. I mean, if he hovers around that 40% number, we're going to be just fine with Eric Bledsoe.
I agree. So as always, thanks for listening. We want to wish y'all a very Merry Christmas. Always thank you for tuning in. We do have our restaurant giveaway tomorrow. We raised over $540 with 540 listens. As Ross said earlier, we're going to round that number, $600 going to New Orleans restaurants. What we're going to do tomorrow is make a post. All you have to do is like the post and tag a restaurant you want to see enter in the contest. We will then choose 3 restaurants tomorrow night for our Christmas Eve picking. And then on Christmas Day, we are going to pick 3 of you who like the post and tagged a restaurant and give you a $200 gift card for not only supporting this podcast, but for also supporting New Orleans restaurants. Ross, initial final thoughts on that?
Look, we are both humbled at the amount of folks that have participated and given us props for what we're trying to do. And look, it's not about us. It's about trying to help those local restaurants. And so we're excited. I'm ready to kind of go through and draw some of those restaurants out of a hat so that we can holler at them and tell them what we're doing and then give them away to a couple of the listeners, man. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited that it worked out for us.
Yeah. So once again, Pelicans, 11 a.m. Christmas Day. Merry Christmas. Also, the Saints play at 3:30. I'm sure we'll have a couple cocktails, Ross. I don't know. Just maybe
it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a Merry Christmas, baby.
I think if I'm passed out by 6 p.m., I've done my duty. I feel like I'm excited about it. So listen, stay safe, wear your masks. I'm sure you'll hear from us before New Year's Eve, but stay safe out there, guys. Merry Christmas. We're thankful for y'all. Go Pels. Best record in the league.
Bang.
All right, you can stop.